This is DRF Race of the Day. Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF Race of the Day for Saturday, November the 20th. Race number 9 at Aqueduct. Let's throw up the field for the Grade 2 Red Smith. We're going 1 mile and 3/8 on the inner turf. You can play the race with DRF Bets, and you can download free formulator past performances on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Access them and handicap along with us. Mike, the 7 Channel Cat is a Grade 1 stakes winner this year, won the Man of War by a nose, getting blinkers for Jack Sisterson. This horse has speed, but so does the One Tide of the Sea.
Yeah, I mean, there is plenty of speed in this race, so we'll see how it all plays out. You know, the blinkers going on, I guess, is a little bit of an odd move for this horse, who, as you mentioned, is a Grade 1 winner just a few starts ago. He did race with blinkers earlier in his career, though, Dan, and he was a multiple stakes winner with him on.
He's earned over $1 million in his career, and as we see from the Timeform US pace projector, he is expected to be forwardly placed. Now, I'm not sure if he's going to outrun Tide of the Sea to the front, but I think that's the exacta going into the first half mile or so. I wouldn't be surprised if Tide of the Sea's leading them, however.
I wouldn't either. I mean, I guess we'll see what Johnny Velasquez decides to do with Channel Cat. His main pace rival does have the inside on him. I mean, I do think Channel Cat's going this time. We'll see if he can clear.
Now, Tide of the Sea did go last time out in the point of entry at Belmont. He was the beaten favorite that day by Shamrock, who's also in this field. He set a legitimate pace for that 1.5 mile distance, and he tired in the stretch. He's always an honest horse, more so perhaps when he gets a nice easy lead, or perhaps when he gets a trip rating in behind an easy pace. They could be going pretty quick here.
Yeah, I just think it's a tough spot for him all the way around. These are better horses, certainly than the ones that he defeated 2 back when he won that stake at Laurel. I mean, he is a 2-time stakes winner this year, and the distance is no problem for him. But I'm sort of with you, Dan. I mean, he's at his absolute best when he can be in control of things, and that's probably not going to happen here.
The number 2, Value Engineering, will be making his stakes debut for trainer Chad Brown. He has never been off the board from 11 lifetime starts, and he won his most recent effort at Belmont Park. Let's watch that race on October the 21st. It was at 1 mile and 1/8. He's going to swing to the outside. There was an honest pace on in this race, and Value Engineering is going to grind them down to win by a neck. Career best buyer of 96. We'll see if he's good enough stretching all the way out again.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't worry about distance too much with him. I'm a little more concerned that he probably has to improve to win this race. He runs fine here. This is a very game finish. He also got a really good trip, sort of just sitting back there while his stablemate there, Flop Shot, went a pretty legit pace for that kind of a race. I like the race that Value Engineering ran. I think he probably has to run better than that.
The number 3, Soldier Rising, will face older horses for the first time, but this is a horse that you just get the feeling is screaming out for this additional distance. He really did well overseas at longer distances. He made his North American debut in that Saratoga Derby. The winner of that race, State of Rest, is a nice horse. I think he came back. He won the Cox Plate in Australia somewhere. And Soldier Rising had kind of an interesting trip. He didn't break very well. He was last on the rail turning for home, and somehow he found a seam, and it all worked out. And he came with a nice run to finish a second beaten a length. I just think it was too short last time in the Hill Prince.
Yeah, and maybe he was, ultimately a little bit pace compromised last time. I mean, that Hill Prince was just sort of dominated up close. This horse was, at the back and on the outside early. He didn't run a great race, but maybe he was compromised. I don't really know what to do with him, Dan. He's a 3-year-old facing some really nice older horses here. I mean, I hear what you're saying about his first 2 starts in this country, where he was second both times, and he was beaten by Yabir, 2 back, who won the Breeders' Cup Turf. I just thought he got really good trips in both of those races and wasn't good enough.
Serv the King, the number 4, might be the now horse of the race for Chad Brown. Let's watch his second place effort in the Joe Hirsch Turf Classic, going 1.5 miles at Belmont. And Irad put him in a nice spot going into the first turn, Mike. He was in the pocket, but as you see, turning into the stretch, he kind of has to pick his way through traffic a little bit, and eventually he's going to find his seam, and he's going to split through and finish second to his stablemate, Rock Emperor, who had the clear air on the outside.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could argue he was a little bit blocked there in upper stretch while his stablemate got the jump on him. On the other hand, he did get to save a lot of ground. There were some early moves in that race, too, while this horse just sort of sat there and waited. I still thought he finished very well in that race, and he does feel like he's improving, doesn't he, Dan? I mean, he's about to turn 6. He's only got 10 lifetime starts, but it just feels like he's getting better with every run. He won the Johns Call really easily, 2 back. His UN trip, I thought, was a lot like that last one we just watched. He wasn't ever really clear in that race. I thought he ran better than he looks that day. I don't know. I just think he's the horse to beat.
Todd Pletcher sends out a horse in good form as well. That's the 5 Shamrock, coming off a win in the point of entry. We'll watch that race right now. And Tide of the Sea again set a very legitimate pace turning into the stretch. But Shamrock at 3 wide and in between horses is on the move. I thought he got a very nice trip and ride under Javier Castellano, but he wanted every part of this mile and a half. He really just grinds and gets it done.
Yeah, he gets it done. He's more game than anything else winning this race after a really good trip, but he does get the job done. Finally becomes a stakes winner. Just really, really consistent. Shows up every time. I'm not sure that he's actually that good, Dan, but listen, maybe he'll have some pace to run at again here, and he's going to show up and run his race.
The 6 Corelli's hoping for some pace as well. He seems more like a one-run type than anything else. He's rather versatile. He can win at longer distances. He can win going as short as a mile and a 16th. He'll have to stretch out again after the Knickerbocker. And I'm not sure I really love the Knickerbocker as a race overall. Corelli didn't break great. He was last early. He came widest in the stretch. He picked up a few tired horses. 2 back in the Canadian International, just in too tough against Walton Street. He won the Sing Spiel over a weak field 3 back. I think at 12-1, he's worth a play. I wouldn't take much less.
Yeah, I would take a price on him too. I like some of his races. I don't like some of his races. I don't know what happened 2 back in the Canadian International. He was just pretty bad in that race at 5-1. I don't know. I didn't really like his last race that much either. I thought the Knickerbocker had plenty of pace. He basically just sat at the back following the winner, Sacred Life, around to the top of the stretch. He went wide while Sacred Life got through on the inside, but I don't know. This horse never looked like he was going to win to me, and he had a good setup in that spot too. I don't really know what to do with him, Dan. If he was a big price, I wouldn't argue too hard.
Here's Channel Cat, who just came out of the Turf Cup at Kentucky Downs, a race where he made an early move that day and tired at 7-2. His prior effort was the Bowling Green 2 starts back, and that day he was able to get to the front as the favorite. He said, I thought, a rated enough pace as usual. He flopped leads a little bit in the stretch. Again, as we talked about earlier, not sure I love the blinkers on. You mentioned he has had success with them in the past. He'll be forwardly placed. He's one of the ones, but he's going to take action.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what kind of price he is too. I know he can win this race, and I'm certainly not way against him. I do think Johnny's going to go with him this time and try to make the lead. I didn't like his race 2 back. I don't want to say his Bowling Green was terrible, but I didn't love that performance from him last time. I mean, it almost seemed to me like they decided that they were going to rate him a little bit early, and they sort of sat in behind. I don't know. That obviously didn't work out well for him. I think that might be part of the reason the blinkers are back on, and I do think they're going to use his speed again this time. He can win. I wouldn't bet him at a short price.
If you're looking for a sharp horse at a price, Sanctuary City, the number 8, might be for you. Jimmy Ferraro's done a very good job with this New York bred, and I thought he had a legitimate excuse last time out in the Mohawk for New York breds. Let's watch that race right now. Some Like It Hot Brown, the winner of this race, is graded stakes class, and he was just able to make his own lead. They went a half mile in 49 seconds flat. Sanctuary City tried to gain with a wide move on the second turn, and he really grinds it out to finish second behind a nice horse. Now, this additional distance, this is a big question mark for Sanctuary City, as well as he steps up in class, but he's in good form. He'll be a price, and maybe he'll get the setup.
Yeah, all those things are true. He's a very underrated horse. I don't know if he's good enough to beat this field, especially as they stretch him all the way out in distance for the first time. There's a lot working against him, but he's a nice horse, and he's going to be a big price.
No Word was second in the Belmont Derby, going 1.25 miles. I think the distance is within his scope. And last time out in the Knickerbocker against Sacred Life, he ran okay. Again, he turned into the stretch a little bit on the outside. He has run figures fast enough to win, and it looks like he's got a little bit of tactical speed.
I think he does too. I think he could fall into a trip here. I don't know that I would worry that much about the distance. He's another horse coming out of that Knickerbocker, Dan. I didn't think he ran great, but he was on the outside the entire way. Maybe it's enough of an excuse. His race 2 back was pretty good. He got a great trip that day, but he ran.
Price Talk earned a big figure, a 99, first start off the Tony Dutrow claim, but he got a perfect closer's trip, didn't he? Let's watch Price Talk. The pace was fast up front, and we see he saved ground under Javier all the way through the turn, gets to the outside at a crucial moment, and now, just unimpeded, he rallies by these horses. I like the way he finished the race off. He certainly earned a figure. He's lightly raced enough that it's possible we haven't seen his best yet, and he might even be a playable price.
I think all those things are true. Another horse, I don't know if he can beat this field. He's actually pretty good, though. He's shown up and he's run well in every one of his starts so far in his career. This was the best one yet. That horse that he's running down there, Flop Shot, we saw Value Engineering run him down in an earlier replay. That horse isn't bad at all. This horse ran very well last time.
It's a really intriguing race because you sort of have the old guard in here, the Channel Cats, the Tide of the Seas. You've got up and comers like Price Talk and Value Engineering. And as we take a look at our top picks in the race, Mike, you're going with a horse that I think is one of the new guards, Serv the King. His last two races, really strong efforts, strong figures against good competition. He just seems to fit this race from a class perspective.
That's exactly how I looked at it, Dan. I realized that he's the morning line favorite, and maybe if he takes on that role, maybe you just want to bet somebody else. That's fine with me. I just feel like this horse is in really good form right now, and there's a lot pointing his way. He's tactical enough. He gets the distance. His last couple of races are the best of his career. It just makes a lot of sense.
Corelli's 12-1 on the morning line. I think he'll get the right pace set up. The distance is okay for him. And as Mike mentioned, he's run a couple of races good enough to win this. I thought he was okay last time out. I'm willing to give the ground excuse in the Canadian International. It was a little bit wet. I think he has a little bit more tactical speed going these longer distances. 4-7-10-2 for Mike, 6-10-2-4 for me in the grade 2 Red Smith. It's the feature at Aqueduct on Saturday, and you can play it with DRF Bets.